Hi, I'm Stefan from Mix66 and in this video I want to show you how you can improve your drum tracks with samples. It will take your drum recordings from this to this. This is the very last video of my video series Real versus Midi drums. I compared real recorded drums to programmed Midi drums by making a drum cover of Bring Me the Horizon's Happy Song. In the previous parts of this video series I walked through the recording, editing and mixing process, and initially I wanted to include this mixing with samples part also in part 3 of the video series, where I talked about the mixing of the real drum performance. If you haven't watched part 3, the drum mixing video, then I would encourage you to do so, because this will be the starting point for this video. And if you've already watched part 3 and you were thinking when the hell I will start to talk about drum samples, then I'm sorry, let's do it now. And now I will go on and make the second mix of the real drums, where I also use samples to augment the sound of the drums. I will copy this whole folder, so the 100% real mix will be the starting point. And I will mute this one and rename this to live drums with samples. So I will go ahead and add another track. Now you could add this track in your kick folder or also outside of the kick folder. I decided based on how I want to construct the mix. In this case, I wanted the drum mix to sound great without any samples, so I tried to construct the drum mix without the use of samples. So in that case, I will leave the samples out of the kick folder. In other cases, where I start with samples straight away, I will put them also in the kick folder, so the kick bass processing is also based off the samples. In this case, I will add them separately and apply processing on this separate track accordingly to what's needed. So let's go ahead and call this kick sample. Let's add a snare sample track. And for the toms, I think I would prefer to put them also inside the tom bass. So that's T1 sample. And here we have T2 sample. Let's route everything accordingly. Insert trigger. The same for snare and kick. I will adjust the send to be pre-fader but post a fix. In that way I can adjust the balance of live snare and snare sample better. Same for kick. And also here we need trigger. Adjust the sends also for the toms. There we go. Let's start with the kick drum. Now I think this kick sounds kinda hard, so I want to add a sample which is kind of big and billowy. I think the Drum Shots Billy Decker sample library could work great for that. So let's search that one. Let's try the back road kick. Check the phase. I feel like the decay is a bit too long on this sample, so I will shorten it here in trigger 2. And And I think for the kick that's already enough. This sample gives me a bit more low end and a bit more attack, exactly what this kick needed. I don't think that I need any more samples with the kick drum because I already like the natural kick sound, and this sample was just to augment it a little bit. I think for the snare I need some more work because I'm not particularly happy with the original snare sound. So let's check out the snare. I think this snare could have much more punch. So again, let's search for a snare sample that has a lot of punch. So let's go again with Billy Decker's drum shots library. I think the Savage snare could be exactly what Bring Me the Horizon needs. Awesome, I really like this drum sample. It has a nice ring to it. It adds a lot of punch and also depth to the snare drum. Maybe we can use also a nice room sample because, as you know, these drums were recorded in a small room. So I like to add a room sample to make it sound bigger. Let's go for a GGD drum sample. I really like the Yamaha Recording Custom 14x8 snare drum. I think this suits the real recorded snare very well. It sounds better with the phase flip, and also I turned it down a little. Huge difference. Let's listen to the whole drum mix. Maybe we can add another snare sample just to add some more crack to the snare. For that I will use a sample from CLA, namely the Dong Top. You can hear this sample has a lot of crack, a nice transient, but we will use really just the front end of this one, so we will shorten the timings of the envelope curve. So we only use this crack from this snare sample. Let's check the phase. Also here I like it better when the phase is flipped. Let's listen once again to the whole drum mix. Okay, so now with these ghost notes, the snare samples are way too loud, but instead of lowering the volume of the snare sample track itself, I will automate the send from the snare to the snare trigger track. Much better. Let's look for the other fills. Okay, that's it. Now you may think that this sounds a little bit over the top now with the samples, but trust me, listen to the final results and you will understand why I make such extreme moves on this drum mix. And now, finally, let's add some drum samples for the toms. Let's listen to the real tom and then look for a sample that could fit the real sound nicely. Let's take a look at the modern and massive toms. Maybe a Tama Star Classic Bubinga could sound nice. I think this Q drum steel 13x9 rack tom matches the tone of the real tom really nicely, so I will go for that one. Generally speaking, when I'm adding samples to toms, I really like to adjust the pitch of the sample exactly to the pitch of the real tom. You can do this in Salte Trigger here by this tune knob. Sometimes this works great also in snares and kick, and I would encourage you to try that out, but generally speaking I do it more often on toms than on snare and kick. Now, as you have heard, initially Trigger saw only one hit because the second one was really fast after the first hit. Then I applied a low cut, so then Trigger saw perfectly two transients and makes two drum triggers. I will match the panning inside of Trigger 2 because I would like to add also a room sample to this track. Let's check the phase. And I think this sample is way too long. We don't need it that long. Oh, I turned the tune knob, not the band knob. Sorry, my bad. Ah, much better now. Now let's add the room sample. I will use the close room, turn it down. Now the floor tom. And I will do the same thing as for the rectum. I will also use here a Q drum. Yeah, I think these two toms just sound nicely together. Add it here, adjust the panning. Check the phase. Again, this is way too long. I like this more when the phase is flipped, it has more low end. And then we will also add the room. Lower the volume. Listen to it with the full mix playing. Without the tom samples. I will lower the tom samples by a few dB. And now I will make a final listen and make some adjustments. I think I will add another sample to the kick drum. I think it could have just a little bit more of attack, and I don't want to add EQ for that. I want to add another sample. I will try the Dama Star Classic Bubinga from GGD Modern and Massive. Okay, and I think that's enough for the drum mix. Let's make a final comparison between the drum mix without and then with the samples. I mean, especially the snare comes alive when I add the samples, but as I told in the other videos, I'm not too happy with the snare sound that I came up with, but you can see with samples you can rescue also some not ideal recordings. So this is it. This is how I use drum samples to augment my drum recordings. And if you are looking for top-notch drum samples, then just click the link in the description and you can download my drum samples for free. If you want to see more videos about music production in the future, then please support this channel by subscribing. As always, thank you very much for watching and see you next time. Bye.